vertical shift. And those are the transformations for the parent function of the cosine graph. Alrighty. So in our equation for our cosine graph, we have all of the variables already defined. We have A, which is 5, B is pi, C is going to be 2, and D is 10. So let's go ahead and start. I like to start doing the, by setting it to y-axis. So what we're going to do first is find the median, which is going to be our D value. So you're going to go up 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then for our values up and down, it's going to be the amplitude. So 5 plus 10 is going to be 15, and then 10 minus 5 is just going to be 5. And so now that we've already finished our y, we're going to go on to the x. And as I've already said, it's going to be the opposite of what it shows up in the equation. So to find our period for this graph, we're going to use the system. You do 2 pi and then divide by this value right here. So 2 pi over pi. So your total period is going to be 2. Get that? So now that we found our y values, we're going to go on to the x values. We have our period, which is going to be 2, and we have to think about the shift before we start graphing, so we have enough room on our graph. So let's start over here with 6 because of the period of 2 and minus 2, so it's going to be plus 4. Or the so the low value is going to be 4, so that's going to be our middle of our graph. So let's start with 6 over here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go ahead and erase this 2x minus. What's in our way?
Why is it 6?
And we don't start there. We just okay. So we're going to start with 2. At 15, because the cosine starts at the top, and then we're going to pass through this median right here. Right on 3. 4, we're going to go down to the low point, and then just repeat itself. And that'll be your graph for the cosine.
Yep.
Alright guys, so when you're graphing the cosine and the sine graph, you can actually graph it with only the high and the low points. So let's say that I started the 6 weeks with 100 average, and now by the 6 weeks, I have my low for the year, hopefully, as a 50. So we're going to start with our x values because we already have our y values established, 100 to 50 with a median of 75. So let's say that our low value is at 6 weeks, our high value is at 6 weeks, so you're going to go top to low, but then you're going to have to come back up to finish the period. Hopefully that's what my grade will do. So you're going to start with 100 right here, you're going to pass through 75 at 6 weeks. By 6 weeks you should be down to 50, then you're going to repeat yourself, and hopefully by the end of the next 6 weeks have 100 again. And that's going to be your... Okay, so to find the equation for this graph that I've already made, you're going to start it with your y equals, and then we know it's a cosine graph because it starts high and ends high. Looks like a longhorn apparently. And so yeah, you're going to have spaces for your a value. Let's just start off with cosine of you're going to have a b value theoretically, and then inside another parentheses x minus, it might be plus in this case, but in this actual graph we're not going to have a c value, but you would have a blank here for other equations, and then plus d. So you're going to have that. So now we just need to fill it in. What's our a value? Our a value is going to be 25 because the difference between the high point and the median or the low point and the median is 25. So it's going to be 25 cosine, and then we need to find our b value. So our b value is going to be our horizontal stretch. So if we look at the values down here, we know it's 12, and if we use our little system with the 2 pi over 12, then you can divide that out, and it's going to be pi over 6. So pi over 6 is going to be in our equation. And we know that we don't have a c value because we're starting on 0 right here. And our d value is going to be shifted up to our median point, which is going to be 75. So our final equation is just going to be y equals 25 cosine pi over 6x plus 75. And that's going to be it.
That was beautiful.
Thanks.
I'm gonna buy that on DVD.
Okay, so as Brooks just showed us, you can make a graph out of your grades in this pre-cal class. But I want to make a graph out of your feelings about this pre-cal class. Let's put it on the same 0 to 100 scale. So, let's say at the beginning, you don't know how the pre-cal class is going to go. So you're about halfway between the lowest feelings and the highest feelings about the class. But you start getting good grades, as you can see. So, at 3 weeks, you're feeling pretty good. You're at 100. That's the best you can be. But then your grades start going down. So, you're down here. You're in the dumps. It's terrible. But then, by 9 weeks, you're even worse. Like, your grades are still bad. You don't know that they're really on the rise yet, so you're down at 0, which is terrible. And then at 12, your grades are on the way back up, so you're feeling all right again. So this is your sine graph for 12 weeks in this pre-cal class. So now let's make an equation for this graph. New video. Okay, so for this graph of my feelings about the pre-cal class, we're going to use this equation y equals blank, which is a sine of b, which we don't have a value for yet, x. We know we don't have a shift because it starts at 0, but there would be a c value there if there was a shift. And then plus d, which is the median. So for this, our median is going to be a little different. So because the high point's at 100 and the low point's at 0. So our median is 50, so it would be plus 50. And then our b value would be, we know our period is 12, same as the last graph. So to find our b value, we would use 2 pi over the new period, because to find the new period we use the equation 2 pi over b. So you can just interchange the two. So 2 pi over 12 equals pi over 6. Pi over 6 is our b value. And our a value is our amplitude, the distance from the median to the high point or the low point, which in this case is 50. So our equation for this graph about our feelings in this pre-cal class of Mr. Martinez's is 50 sine of pi over 6x plus 50. And there you go.
So, in summary, a general rule that you should keep in mind when you're doing these sine and cosine transformations is to make sure that you remember this equation. This can be very useful to you when you're solving a problem, because a good way to help is if you actually label your points. That way, when you go to graph it, it's a lot easier and much more organized because you already know what each value is. So let's just say, for example, it was 2 cosine pi over 6 x minus 2 plus 3. You can easily plot your points. Okay? And then you can quickly go to your graph. And that is a great thing to keep in mind when you're doing these graphs. So we hope that we taught you everything that you need to know to learn how to do this. Thank you for watching.